You are sensitive. You're strong. You're sick and tired of being told what to do, trying to live up to the life you should be living. You don't fit in. You were never meant to. You don't have to keep trying to cram all your magic into the box they've built for you. It's time, empath. Don't worry, I'm gonna tell you the best job for an empath. It's time to remember who you are. If you're an empath and you've ever wondered if there was more to life than the rat race, subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell to be notified each week when I post a new video. I can totally understand where you're coming from. You probably never really felt like you fit in as a child, or maybe you did for a short period of time. Maybe you were bullied in elementary school, middle school, or even high school, and you just knew, like, there's gotta be something more. Why is there no one who really gets me? Why is there no one who really likes me for me, who really wants to know who I am? In some cases, even your family members, right? You even felt that way about them. It was really, really hard for you to understand why having deep feelings and different ways of seeing the world was not okay. It was really hard for you to understand why certain traits of yours were celebrated while others were shamed and or ignored. I get it. I was right there with you. And the pain that you're feeling, or the pain that you have felt, is an indication of something magical. Yes, let me explain. So, you probably always have had this sense that there was something more to life, something more to the world than just the material things that you saw around you. You have this innate sense of believing in things that other people think are fantasy, and you never really stopped believing in those things. You may have even had some paranormal experiences as a child. The real reason that people didn't like you, it was not because you weren't wearing the right clothes. It was not because you had facial hair as a little girl. It was not because you were too loud. It was not because you were too annoying. Those were all the symptoms of the real reason why people didn't like you. And that was because your light was shining too brightly for them to handle. That somehow, some way, despite the trauma you may have experienced as a child, despite the bullying, despite the shaming, despite the injuries, despite the trauma, the betrayal, the abuse, you still believed in yourself. You still had this deep inner knowing that you maybe weren't even aware of, that you were here to do something important, that you are important. And people didn't like that because people didn't feel that way. People tried to escape their lives. People tried to plug into the system, into the matrix. People tried to use celebrity culture and video games and binging Netflix and all the things to numb out drinking, drugs, from feeling that sense of what you couldn't kill inside yourself. That inner flame. That's what people didn't like about you. I want to know, did you struggle with bullying in school? Were you a total loser? Or more like me, where you didn't really fit in anywhere? You weren't popular, but then you weren't like unpopular. Just kind of stuck right there in the middle between worlds, so to speak. Let me know in the comments below. What is the best job? Like, really, okay? Ciara, you're giving me all this backstory. You're telling me how shitty my childhood was. And yes, I resonate with all of that. But like, what's the best job for me? The only reason that I know the best job for you is because as a lifelong empath, I've found the best job for me. And it's a job, a line of work. It's more than that. It's a mission that can come in many different forms that lend itself to your unique excitement, passions, interests, talents, and skills. And that job is a light worker. You are a light worker. You can do what I do. You can be a leader. You can be a speaker, an author, an artist, a business person, whatever it is you want to do. You can be a spiritual teacher. You are psychic. You. Yes, you. The one who just shook their head or gave me a little eye roll on the inside. You are psychic. You have the ability to become psychic by developing the intuition that is already brightly lit inside of you. Being an empath means that you are already profoundly clairsentient, and this is one of the main psychic senses. In fact, clairsentience is the most powerful psychic sense, even more powerful than clairvoyance, yes, because not only is it centered in more energy centers in the body, but you can feel it in your body. Clairsentience means you can feel things in your body, and your body has no choice but to be in the present moment. So when you have a feeling about something, of course, process your trauma to make sure you're really having clear feelings. But when you have a feeling about something, you know it's spot on. So like, what is a light worker? Okay, I'm saying this is the best job for you, but like, what actually is it? A light worker is typically an empath. That's often the first step of accepting that not only is there something out there beyond the physical, beyond the normal mainstream, not only do you have a sense of it, but you actually accept and embrace that you can interpret, that you can be a medium, if you will, between what is seen and what is unseen. You accept and embrace that you are a soul, first and foremost, having a human experience rather than a body who happens to have a soul. That is really at its core what a light worker is. So that's the light part. And then the worker part means that you take that knowledge and integrate it into the work that you're here to do on this planet, like in the physical, like as a career. So that's why being a light worker is the best career for an empath, because you take your unique light, the way that you interpret what is here and seen and what is also here and unseen, how you interpret it, how you interpret and integrate the fact that you are a soul in a body, and then use that understanding and integration to inform the work that you do in the world. That is what a light worker is to me. And what does it mean to be psychic? I already talked to you a little bit about what clairsentience is. So that's sort of just taking intuition and empathy, being an empath, a little bit step further to actually developing it, paying attention and validating the intuitive nudges, the intuitive hits, the voices that you hear, the friendly ones, the unfriendly ones. Listen to them. Don't ever do what they say. That's what gets you in trouble. Squirrel. So being psychic is taking your intuition and taking that empathy to the next level, where you are not only accepting and embracing and developing it, but you're also utilizing your intuitive abilities to help others through your work. As I said before, everyone can become psychic. It is a skill that can be learned. It's just like a muscle that needs to be worked out. All you have to do is flex it. All you have to do is validate it. And there are many, many different ways to do that, from, testing yourself, giving readings to other people. And just so you know, if this is an elephant in the room, you don't need to be chosen. You don't need to be chosen to be a light worker. You don't need to be chosen to be psychic or become psychic. You just need to choose. You just need to choose. So if you're an empath watching this and you've been wondering, like, gosh, like all this lockdown, this quarantine stuff, and like, what am I going to do with my life? First and foremost, accept who you are. Remember who you are. And accept it. Do the work in validating it. Choose to step up into this calling, and you will be chosen to carry it out. So how do you have an actual career or a job as a light worker? There are like literally a million different ways you can do this. You can bring light work into any career path known to man and womankind, okay? Literally. So if you are a healthcare worker, if you're a teacher, you can bring your light into that situation, because what happens as you start to accept that you're a soul in a body, what happens as you start to integrate this idea that you are intuitive, that you are psychic, you develop your intuition, you start connecting and accepting that you can connect to the unseen realms, that starts to change the way you view the world. It starts to change the lens through which you are viewing everything. It changes your perspective, and your perspective changes your thoughts and your feelings, and that then changes your words and your actions. So it's not even like you necessarily need to be a spiritual teacher like me, or be a card reader, or intuitive, or spiritual life coach, although those are all really awesome things, and if you feel called to that, please explore it. But all you need to do is just let the remembering and acceptance of who you are come through. Just come through in whatever you're doing. Now, if what you're doing is not fulfilling, even when you start bringing all of who you are into that, it's not, again, not to say that you need to start like waving your angel flag around, although you can, it'll be evident. It will be very evident that some changes are happening. You are becoming more of who you are. At least that's how it will seem to you. Whereas to other people, it might seem like, wait a minute, where did he or she go? You're like, wait a minute, I'm finally figuring that out for the first time. So if you're not fulfilled in your line of work, that means it's time to look elsewhere. But to be a light worker can be in absolutely any field of work. If this interests you and you would like to book a one-on-one session with me to explore this idea, or perhaps get some questions answered about who you really are, or where you're really from, or anything of that nature, if you would like some psychic guidance, you can click the link in the description below this video and go to ciararubin.com to book a one-on-one session with me. If you would like to know what type of starseed you are, I have created a free quiz for you, so you can also click the link in the description below this video to check that out. If this video struck a chord with you, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. If you want to liberate yourself from the spiritual protection trap, click here. And if you want a more grounded video on empath careers, click here. Thanks so much for watching. I love you today and every day, and I'll talk to you soon.